Hi, I'm iVideoGameBoss, and in this video I will teach you how to make high-quality deepfakes with Roop, which have complex mouth interactions and complex head movements. This video assumes you already have Roop running. You will also need the free version of Hitfilm Express. Let's get this party started since we have a lot to cover. When you're creating deepfakes with Roop, it's a good idea to have a general understanding of some of the face angles and the limits. So here I'm just going to start to rotate the head. Now you can go ahead and ignore the X, Y, and Z labels, but just look at the degrees. So the first thing that you will notice is that when we hit 30 degrees, the eye on the right side, when we are using the face swapper and the phase enhancer, it's all okay. But after 30 degrees, it will start to collapse. Okay, and now when we come close to 90 degrees, you can see that when we have phase enhancer, we start to see artifacts. But when we don't have face enhancer, we don't see artifacts. So 90 degrees works really good without the face enhancer. Okay, so now obviously when we move beyond 90 degrees, it's not going to work. Now, just as a side note, when you're using Deepface Labs, it can go beyond 90 degrees or 115. That's what I've found, but I don't have that to demonstrate for you here since we're only looking at Roop. Now, the other thing you might have noticed is that when we have face enhancer and when I'm rotating the head, the eyes are jittering a little bit. And without face enhancer, we don't get that issue. Now I've noticed that when we're using a real-life video, I do still see the jitter issue. Now you will see that when we are rotating the head up and down 30 degrees, it's basically the sweet spot where we get really good faces. So you'll see that when he starts to look up, as soon as we pass 30 degrees is when the face will start to collapse. Now I'm going to demonstrate this by actually rotating the head where it's almost like a 3/4 view around 20 degrees. And then we will look down and up and notice that after 30 degrees is when we start to get really weird artifacts. You'll see that it's starting to look weird here, and then when we look up and go beyond 30 degrees again, it's going to do the same thing. So that's what you want to keep in mind when you are looking to create deepfakes for videos using Roop. How much is the person looking down and up? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is tilt the head and then make him look down and then up. So you will see that 30 degrees again is really the sweet spot. Anything beyond that is where it starts to collapse the face. So this angle that I am showing you here is actually pretty important because this tells you that we can use his faces that are going to be doing pretty complex movements, but going beyond 30 degrees is where we're going to have an issue. Now what I'm going to do is simply just show you that if you have it at 90 degrees, you can also look down and then up. But you'll notice that when it comes to using the face enhancer, it again is always going to create these artifacts. And of course, just going beyond this 30-degree mark, even on the 90 degrees, I noticed that it does create some issues also. I will show you in this video how we can align the face to remove this limit. So now what I'm doing is just doing some organic movements just to show you that, look, you can create complex angle deepfakes with Roop, with complex movements, but anything going beyond 30 degrees is where the issue is going to be. When you use real-life videos of actual people, it's hard to notice these issues, which can be all fixed with masks. Right, so this is what you want to look for when you are looking for videos or scenes that you want to create deepfakes for. How is the head moving? Remember, you can use some smart editing techniques so your deepfakes look good. Just because you are getting artifacts doesn't mean your deepfake is doomed. Just edit out the bad parts or something. So now what I'm going to do is actually open the mouth here, and what I want to show you here is that when you have the face enhancer on, you're going to get much more defined teeth. And of course, when you don't have face enhancer, you're just going to get odd-looking stuff inside the mouth. Again, you can just use masks to get the original teeth out. So this is where the face enhancer, I would say, really shines, is where you get really nice definition of teeth. Okay, so here I put Bruce Willis in a movie scene here. So you can see when you look at the left side of your screen, when we have the face enhancer on, the face almost looks like Jell-O. And you can see here that we also get an artifact on the 90-degree angle, but everything's okay when we don't use face enhancer. So clearly Roop deepfake technology is very powerful, as you can see here, and you can actually turn out deepfakes like an assembly line, because we don't have to go through the training process like we do with Deepface Labs. First, I want you to go to pexels.com. Here we can use royalty-free videos to learn how to make advanced deepfakes. Select the video option, then type woman eating a banana. I know you're dying with laughter, but trust me on this. You can thank me later. Go ahead and click the search icon. Now look for this video of this crazy woman eating a banana. She looks so happy. Here I'm going to select 720 by 1280. You can choose a different size if you want. Then you want to click on download. Once it has downloaded, you can click anywhere on the black part of this page, then click on the X to exit out to go back to the page. Now, for ethical reasons, I cannot use a real person's face to show you how to make advanced deepfakes, but you are free to do so. I'm going to use an AI-generated face for safety. So here in Google, I'll just type AI-generated woman and select a face I like. Make sure the face has a neck if you want to also use an AI-generated face. Roop gets very fussy about faces with no necks. I'm simply going to open the image in a new tab by itself and then save the image. Make sure to use the right image extension. Here, I'm making sure it is saved as a JPEG file. Now go ahead and open up Hitfilm Express. Then click on Create Now. It will show you this little pop-up dialog. Just click on OK. When we import the video, these settings will automatically get set for us, so we don't really care what it says. Now go and find the video we downloaded from pexels.com and drag it into the Media tab in Hitfilm Express like I'm showing you here. Then I want you to drag it onto the timeline. When you do that, it will ask you this question. You want to click on Yes. This is where the video settings will get set up correctly for us. Now here I'm going to click on the magnifying glass a few times to zoom in on the timeline. Sometimes this thing gets hidden. Just use your mouse scroll wheel to scroll down to reveal it. Now in the Viewer tab, you can use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and you can pan the video around in the viewer using the right mouse button. Don't use the left mouse button to drag the video, or it will change the position of the video in the scene. Also, if you want to reset the view back to what it was after you zoomed in, just click the tilde key on your keyboard. This sexy thing. Okay, now I want you to right-click on the video and choose Make Composite Shot. Call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it Shot. This will open up the Composite Shot tab. This is where we will do all of our visual effects stuff. Best way to understand this tab is to think of it like Photoshop layers. The Editor tab is where everything comes together from the Shot tab. You can edit your video here for the final cut. When you are in the Shot tab, you can also see everything come together in the Viewer tab. The Layer tab will display the current item you have selected in the Shot tab. If I click on the video, you will see that it will display only the selected video. Like I said, it is better to understand the Shot tab like Photoshop layers. You are selecting a layer. If I switch to the Viewer tab, you will see it will display all the layers. It doesn't matter if only one layer is selected. Okay, go ahead and right-click on the video layer and choose Duplicate. This will duplicate the video layer. Get used to this concept for making deepfakes with Roop. We will always duplicate the video layer when starting a new deepfake. Now right-click the top video layer and rename it. This will be our duplicate layer. Then right-click the bottom video layer and rename it also. This will be our original layer. Now go ahead and shut off the bottom layer. Then expand the top layer. This is where we can add all types of things to the video layer. So the first thing we want to do is create a tracker to track the tip of the nose. Now for some reason when you add a tracker, it does not display the tracker in the viewer. If this happens to you like it did just now for me, simply click on a tool on the left like this and go back to the arrow tool. Now it will display the tracker in the layer tab. The tracker does not display in the viewer tab. It will only show in the layer tab. Like I said, the layer tab will show what you are doing to the currently selected layer. I want you to right-click inside the red box with your mouse and drag it to the tip of the nose like this. Now to change the shape of the tracker boxes, you will click on this tiny dot with your left mouse button. I know it's a bit confusing at first. Right-click inside the red or green box to drag the box around, and left-click on the tiny dots to change the shape of the box. The green box is your search area that will be used to look for the red box. The red box will contain the content we want to track, and the little circle is the X and Y position that will be saved. You want to select a high contrast area inside the red box. Okay, I'm going to turn off motion path. It's just a visual thing which we don't really care about. Keeping it on just causes confusion. Now select single point for the type and optical flow for the method. Optical flow is more accurate as it follows movement of the elements inside the red box. Go ahead and click on the Track Forward button. The tip of the nose will now start tracking. The X and Y position of the little circle inside the red box will get stored. You can see it here getting logged. You can stop the tracking at any time to adjust the tracker if you see it getting off track. Here I just left-clicked inside the Layer Viewer tab to stop the tracking. Then you can right-click inside the red box to drag the tracker back onto the content you want to track. It is a good idea to also backtrack on the timeline a bit like you see me doing here, then move the red box to adjust the tracker and then track forward again. You will see me do this a few times until I get the tip of the nose tracked until the end of the video. Don't drive yourself crazy over this, we just need it to be an approximated track. You will see why in a bit. Oh, I should also mention you can track backwards using the Track Backwards button. When you move a few frames back on the timeline to do the forward or backward tracking, it will overwrite the X and Y position values with the new values for each frame. You can also use the less than and greater than keys to move through the timeline frame by frame. Just make sure to select the video layer. Sometimes you have to move forward with the greater than key before you can move backwards in the timeline. Okay, I'll keep adjusting the tracker. So as you can see that when we don't have a high contrast area to track, the tracker gets off track. Now it doesn't really take that long to do the tracking of the tip of the nose. It really depends on the lighting conditions of the scene that you are working with. Okay, I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to skip a few frames forward on the timeline, then track forward. Notice there's a gap in the data on the timeline. When you see something like this, you can move back to the frame where it happened, then start tracking again. Or you can track backwards. I'm almost done tracking the tip of the nose. I'll keep adjusting this until it reaches the end of the shot. If the head had turned where we can't track the tip of the nose for a few frames, then a gap in the data is okay to have. A gap in the data just means no change in the X and Y position values occurred from the last known value. I'm done with the tracking. Now I'm going to scrub on the timeline to make sure the tip of the nose is getting tracked correctly and make any adjustments. You just have to click on Track Forward or Backward to capture the new data. We are ready for the next step. Go ahead and choose Stabilize for the purpose and click on Apply. So, when you click on Apply, the X and Y position will be used to stabilize the video. Now you won't be able to see the results in the Layer tab. We would have to click on the Viewer tab to see the change. Again, the Viewer tab is where you will see the results for all your layers. Now if you scroll to the first frame and play the video, you will see the tip of the nose is now in the center of the video. If I put my mouse over this area, you can see the head is moving around the nose. So the whole video frame is moving, using the nose as the pivot point. You will see a little later that the X and Y position values are saved to the anchor point of the video. Okay, so now we can collapse the duplicate layer and create a new plane layer, which is just an image with a solid color. The default color is black. Make sure the plane layer we created is on the top of the layer order. Just drag it to the top with your mouse if it's not in the correct order for you. Make sure the plane layer is selected. It should be highlighted in blue. Okay, so now I want you to click on the mask icon. You have to press down the left mouse button for a second to open up the menu for more options, then pick the ellipse mask. Then create a mask like this. Size does not matter here. We will fix that later. This will create a mask on the plane layer. Remember, the layer you have selected will get the mask you create. If the mask gets created on the wrong layer, then just undo and select the right layer before you create the mask. Oh, and it's no big deal. If the mask gets created on the wrong layer, you can cut the mask and paste it under the right layer into the mask section for that layer. You can cut and copy and duplicate masks in the Masks section, not in the Viewer tab itself. Now click on this little icon on the Mask section. This will invert the mask. Don't forget about this step, because we will invert the mask again using this same icon. This can cause confusion if you forget you did this to the mask when we duplicate the mask later. Also notice I have the mask layer selected. It is highlighted in blue. If you want to work with this mask in the Viewer tab, then it needs to be selected. We are going to move the mask with the mouse inside the Viewer tab, so the mask layer needs to be selected like this in blue. We are going to move the mask. Make sure you have the mask icon selected like this in the Viewer tab. Then move the mask so it is in the center of the tip of the nose. Okay, now select the Freehand Mask tool. This tool will allow you to change the shape of the mask. Notice it shows you 4 points that defines the shape of the mask. For now, I just want you to select all the points by dragging a box around the whole mask. You can do this by keeping the left mouse button pressed down to create a selection box around all the points that make up the mask. Next, go ahead and click on the corner point of the selection box to scale the mask down. We are making sure the mask's center is at the tip of the nose. Then select the mask icon again to move the mask into position. We just have to be approximate with this idea. Then you can click on the Freehand Mask tool again, select all the points to select the whole mask, and make any fine-tune adjustments. Then I want you to scale the mask back up. Make sure to scale it big like this, so the whole head plus another head size can fit into the mask. We are going to need this extra room to blur the mask. Notice we did all this with the Viewer tab selected. This tab allows us to see all layers at once. So when we created the mask and inverted it, we are seeing through the mask to the next layer through the black colored plane. The Viewer tab also gives you access to the play button. Go ahead and play the video. Notice how the head is now centered in the mask. This is an important step you have to do if you want to create a successful deepfake with Roop. You will see later why this as we dive deeper into the world of making deepfakes. Go ahead and click on Export, then choose Export Now and pick Contents. This will export the video out using everything we did to the layers from this Composite Shot tab. Later you will see we will export out the final video from the Editor tab. Once the video has exported, you can click on the link which will show you the exported video. You want to make a copy of the video and rename it to Output. This video will get overwritten by Roop later when we create the deepfake. Then I want you to drag the output video into the Media tab. Okay, now this is a very important step. You want to turn off all the layers by clicking on the eye icon for each layer. You must do this step or you will get confused very fast here. Remember, everything that I am showing is a rinse and repeat concept for creating deepfakes. Think of this as a turnkey solution. It's always the same steps. Now, go ahead and switch back to the Viewer tab. Notice it's all black because we turned off all the layers. Now drag the output video into the Shot tab above the original layer video. You can move the output layer into the right order using the left mouse button after if you need to. Now go ahead and play the video to make sure it looks good. Oh, I should mention you can pan around inside the timeline by clicking the middle mouse button and drag. You have to be zoomed in on the timeline to do that. I'm not zoomed, so the scrubber just goes to the end. Okay, now we are going to do some voodoo magic. Open up the original video caret and navigate to the tracker data. So when we created the tracker data, it got stored here. Then when we stabilized the video, it got pasted into the transform section for this video layer here. Notice it got put into the anchor section. This is how tip of the nose is getting centered. Now I want you to right-click on the anchor point section and choose Copy from the menu. Then collapse the caret for the duplicate layer and open the caret for the output video layer. You are going to paste the data into the position section of the output layer. Make sure you are on the first frame before you paste. Otherwise, it will paste from where the scrubber is on the timeline. Then I want you to open the caret for the plane layer and copy the mask. You are going to paste this mask onto the output video layer. Once the mask is pasted, you need to make sure to remove the invert option from the mask. Remember, we had done this to the mask. This is a very important step that is easy to forget and can drive you crazy as to why the video is not displaying through the mask. Okay, now close the caret for the output video layer and then turn back on the original layer by clicking on the eye icon to reveal it. Now check this out. The output video has snapped back to the correct position on top of the original layer video. Now before we play the video, you can open the caret for the output video layer and then do the same for the mask section within it. This will show you settings for the mask. Open the caret for the shape section and change the feather setting to in. Then change the feather strength to around 50. Make sure you are on the Viewer tab, then hit play. You can see with some voodoo magic our output video layer is moving with the original video. What this means is that our project has been correctly set up for creating a deepfake using Roop. Go ahead and save your project and then close Hitfilm Express. You must close Hitfilm Express in order for Roop to overwrite the output video file. Now go ahead, run Roop. I already have it running here. Notice I'm running Roop without using the face enhancer option. I do this because it is much faster to create the deepfake without it. Using face enhancer takes longer to process the video. After we have successfully created the deepfake, we will run Roop again using the face enhancer option to see the difference. You don't need to use the face enhancer option, as without it, the deepfake looks good anyways, for majority of the videos you will create. Okay, now go ahead and select the face you want to use for the deepfake. I will choose my AI-generated woman face here. You want to make sure you select many faces. This is important to do as sometimes Roop will not project the face correctly. It might do it on some tiny pixels in no man's land. Having many faces will ensure it always works. Now for the target, we want to select the shot MP4 video. You don't want to select the output video here. We will do that when we click on the Start button. Just a side note here, you can also deepfake onto an image. So you can select an image here also if you wanted to. But here we are working with video, so we will select a video. Okay, so now when we click on Start, it will ask us, what do we want to call the output file? Notice it already says output. Here we will select the output MP4 file. Just say yes to overwrite the file. When you select the file, you are really just telling Roop the path and name of the file it should save to when it is done. The output file does not get overwritten right away. Roop will only do this at the end. This is good to know if you need to make a backup of the file for some reason, even after the deepfake process has started. Okay, so once Roop has succeeded, it will have overwritten the output file. Go ahead and launch Hitfilm Express and open up your saved project. Now make sure you are on the Viewer tab. Then switch to the Editor tab and also make sure you are on the first frame. Zoom in on the face and then play the video. As you can see, we have created a deep fake using Roop by centering the tip of the nose. We still have to fix the banana issue and also do some cleanup work to remove any artifacts and make this deepfake look more higher quality. I will show you how to do that next. If you want, you can close Hitfilm Express and run Roop again using a different face to try out. Okay, now go ahead and switch to the Shot tab and make sure you are on the first frame. Also, zoom in on the face and save your project. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to blend the hairline going all the way around to the ear and also the jaw area. We have to fix this manually as currently Roop does not create a soft mask around the face. Even if it did, we would still have to fix these issues to make our deepfakes look good. Okay, so go ahead and open up the Output Video Layer section and then navigate to the Mask section and select the mask. I'm going to show you how to clean up problem areas two different ways. I prefer to use the manual method as it is much faster. But it is important to also see the tracking method. Now, not a lot of people know this about Hitfilm Express, but you can capture the tracking data and store it in Point, then use that data on another layer object, such as a mask, to move it on screen. I'm going to show you this method first. First, you need to create a new mask. Click on the Ellipse Mask tool and create a mask somewhere on the side like this, about this size. You can't create a new mask on top of another mask, you have to do it on the side somewhere like I'm showing you. After you create a mask, you can switch between masks by selecting them in the Output Video layer. Select the new mask and move it to where her forehead is. We can move the mask in the Viewer tab when we have the Mask tool selected. Now go ahead and scrub through the timeline. As you can see, the mask almost stays on her forehead. It's not great, and we can do much better by using a tracker. Notice also we can see the mask moving when we scrub through the timeline. If you play the video, the mask does not show itself moving in the viewer. Okay, so now I want you to select the Output Video layer. This will deselect the masks, then switch to the Layer tab. Zoom in a bit. Now, because we are on the Layer tab, we cannot see through the mask to the next layer. This is why you see black around the mask. The Layer tab isolates the layer you have selected. Now open up the Transform section of the layer. Here you will see the position data we had pasted in. Now, in order to do a clean track of the forehead, we have to remove the position data. You can do this by clicking on the circle icon like so. Remember, we have a backup of this data. We will add the data back after the tracking is done. Also make sure to zero out the position values and the anchor position values. Now go ahead and add a tracker. It will automatically switch to the Layer tab. As you can see, the tracker in the Layer tab is displaying for me this time. But if it did not do that for you, just click on the Mask tool, then click back on the Arrow tool. You can always delete the tracker and add it again if it's still not showing. Hitfilm Express gets a little buggy when it comes to the tracker. Okay, so now you know how the tracker works. Right-click inside the red box and move the tracker to the forehead position. Then make sure the type is set to single point and the method is set to optical flow. Also make sure you are on the first frame. Also open up the tracker section to see the data that will be captured. Then click on the Track Forward button. You can click inside the Layer tab to stop tracking for any reason, as I just did here. You can see we are seeing the motion path being displayed in blue. I'm going to turn it off, then track forward again. You will see the tracker for me keep stopping. I will just keep clicking track forward because I don't see the tracker getting off track. Sometimes it stops and gets confused. Just keep tracking forward when you can. As we can see, nothing is wrong. Okay, great. The tracker is done tracking. Now I'm going to show you that we can store the tracking data onto a point layer. Add a new point layer and then open it up. You can see that we can store the position, scale, and rotation data here from the tracker. Then go back and select the tracker again. Now here on the right side of the screen we can pick the new point layer. Because we are tracking a single point, we can only save the X and Y position values. Click on Apply. Now you can see when you click on Apply, it will capture the position values onto the point layer. We can use this data on masks and other layers. Okay, now you can delete the tracker as we don't need it anymore. Now make sure you are on the first frame. Just drag the timeline to 0. Then open up the section for the mask we created on the forehead, and then open up its transform section. Here is where we will copy and paste the position data from the point layer I just showed you. Now if you zoom in on the forehead, you will see the mask will use the position data and stick itself to the forehead correctly. You can scrub through the timeline to see it in action. That's pretty cool, right? Okay, so now that we have done this step, I'm going to delete the new point layer. You don't have to do this if you want to hang on to the data. I'm doing it because I already have the data pasted onto the mask. Next, we need to go back to the duplicate layer and copy the anchor point data and paste it back into the position data in the output layer transform so it will snap back in place like before. Make sure before you paste that you are on the first frame. If you forget to go to the first frame and already did the paste, it will paste from where the scrubber was. Just move the scrubber back to the first frame and do the paste again. It will overwrite everything. Okay, so switch back to the Viewer tab and move the scrubber back to the first frame. Now in order to blur the edge of the forehead to remove the artifacts, we need to change the mask to subtract. This will show the original face features of the banana woman. The subtract features works based on the layer order. Now open up the shape section for the mask and change the feather section to out. Then change the feather strength to around 45-ish. You want to use the number that will blend both the original video layer and the output video layer in such a way where you can't tell where they both meet. Now the secret to making high-quality deepfakes is not about perfection, because that's not how real life is. It's about imperfections. So when we create these types of masks, we want to make them in such a way where the viewer can't tell it's a deepfake. Deepfakes fail if you try to be too perfect. Also keep in mind that most people will be watching these deepfakes on small mobile phones, and they are not going to rewatch them after the first viewing. That's really the secret sauce for making special effects look real. They should have flaws that mimic real life. Also, video gets compressed when you post on social media that will also blur out imperfections. Okay, so now close the shape section and open up the transform section. Now we don't want to touch the position values of the mask, but we still want to fine-tune the mask position. We can do that by changing the shape of the mask defined by its points. Click on the Path Radio button here to create a keyframe for all the points that make up the mask. Make sure you are on the first frame to capture the mask shape. Now select the freehand mask tool and select all the points of the mask. Now using your less than and greater than keys on your keyboard, move through all the frames. You want to move the mask to cover up any artifacts when you see them. Make sure to not erase the deepfake face features like the eyebrows here. If you make a mistake or don't like a keyframe you made, just delete that keyframe or simply overwrite the keyframe by nudging the mask on that keyframe. Oh, And you will need to select all the mask points again each time you deselect the points if you click somewhere else on the timeline. As you can see, it does not take that long to go through this step. Now, once you're done, go ahead and close up all the sections like this and make sure to switch back to the Ellipse Mask tool on the Viewer tab. Okay, so now what we are going to do is duplicate this mask. Since the mask is already set up to use the tracking data, we can duplicate it to use its features. Just make sure to open up the Transform section and remove the keyframes form the Path section. You can do this by clicking on the Path radio button like so. Now I'm going to show you something here. Notice the scrubber on the timeline is at the last frame. Now if I click on the Path radio button, it will capture the shape of the mask at the last frame. And if I switch to the Freehand Mask tool and select all the points and move them like so, it will overwrite the position to this new position on the last frame because that's where the scrubber is on the timeline. Now if I move the scrubber back to the first frame, then click on the Path radio button to clear out all the keyframes, because that's what it does when you select and deselect it. The mask will move back to its original position. It will do that because the points that make up the mask is a separate concept, then the position of the mask. The points are what define the path and can change shape and be anywhere on screen. That's a very powerful feature about masks. Okay, so click on the Path radio button to capture the position of all the points of the mask on the first frame. Then move the mask to the next section around the hairline we want to fix. Now, because we are using the same tracking data for the position of the mask, it will move with the forehead. We only need to move the mask points to fine-tune the mask in this new position. Now here, you can rotate all the points together by holding down the Alt key on your keyboard and using your left mouse button to click on the very corner point of the bounding box. Remember, we are changing the position of all the points because they are all selected together. It looks like we are rotating the mask, but that's not true. I know it looks like we're rotating the mask, but that's because all the points are selected and we are rotating them as a whole idea. Okay, now do the same thing again. Using your less than and greater than keys, move through all the frames and keep adjusting the position of all the points as a whole to blend the hairline. It's rinse and repeat. Okay, so now you can see that we can no longer see the hairline to blend. This is where you just want the mask to hang out away from the face until you get the next opportunity to go back to the same area you were working on if it comes back. Don't try to kill two birds with one stone here. The best practice with masks is that they only have one job per area. Also, here I'm keeping the mask a little close to the face to clear out the imperfections from the deepfake for the same area for these hair strands. Okay, so now we are done with this mask. Next, go ahead and duplicate this mask and make sure you are on the first frame. Then open up the Transform section and click on the Path radio button to clear out the keyframe data. Now notice the mask went back to its original position and shape, meaning the mask was never rotated. This is what I meant when I said we did not rotate the mask. It was just the points moving together to create the illusion we had rotated the mask. If you want to rotate the mask, you have to do it in the rotation section. Okay, so do the same thing. Select all the points and press down the Alt key on your keyboard, and rotate all the points by selecting the corner point of the bounding box. So now you will do the same thing. Go through all the frames using the less than and greater than keys and keep adjusting the masking. Now for the ear section, you have to be careful not to remove parts of the deep fake. When the head is rotating, it will do dramatic rotational shifts of the cheekbone area. Just keep it close and far enough to do a good blend. Now when it comes to the ear, you will also sometimes notice an extra earlobe, which is easy to miss. You can create another mask to solve that issue if you need to. Also, you can increase or decrease the feather strength for each mask. You can see that so far the value that we had set is working well for us. Now here you can see I'm bringing the mask a little close to show clearly the hair strands. The reason this happens is because Roop currently creates a box around the whole deep fake. You can see its residue on the hair strands here. We want to clear this out. Okay, so we are done with this mask. Go back to the first frame and duplicate this mask. Open up the transform section and click on the path radio button to clear out the captured path data. Then click on the path radio button again to capture the new path data. Now select all the mask points and move the mask to where the jawline is. Rotate the mask points again by holding down the Alt key on your keyboard and clicking on the corner point of the bounding box. You can keep rotating the mask until you are satisfied with it. You also saw I can change the size of the mask if I click on the corner point and just move it without holding down the Alt key on the keyboard. Okay, so you want to do the same thing here. Move through all the frames and keep adjusting the position of all the points of the mask to blend the jawline. Okay, so again the jawline is not in view, so here we'll just let the mask hang out until another opportunity comes by. And here again I'm going to bring the mask close to clear out the blurry hair strands. Because this mask is for the jawline, we are using it near the jawline area. Like I said, you might be tempted to kill two birds with one stone by moving the mask somewhere else to fix another area while the jawline is not in view. Don't do that. It's a bad idea and will cause headaches when you have to bring the mask back into position to fix the jawline again. Trust me on this, I've made 1,000 deepfakes. Mic drop. Okay, so we are done with this mask. Go back to the first frame and close up all the mask sections. Now I'm going to show you how to do this the manual way. I prefer to use the manual way because it's just faster, I find, to clean up the deepfake. When you do it the manual way, you will be creating high-quality deepfakes much faster anyways. Okay, so I want you to duplicate the mask one more time. Notice I'm selecting the first cleanup mask we had created. It doesn't matter which cleanup mask from the list you select. When you duplicate a mask in the middle, the new one will get added right under it. So here I'm just going to drag the new mask to the bottom, so my mind knows the last mask in this list is the one I'm working on. Now go ahead and open the transform for this mask and clear out the path data, but this time we are also going to clear out the position data. Now I want you to click on the position radio button to capture the position of the mask on the first frame. Then make sure to switch to the ellipse mask tool. Then select the mask and move it to the right side of forehead. Now just do the same thing. Move through the frames and keep changing the position of the mask. Notice we are changing the position of the mask using the ellipse mask tool and not the freehand path tool. Each time we change the position of the mask, its position data is getting captured on the timeline in position section. Okay, so this is something you should know. When you have the mask tool selected in the viewer tab and you hover your mouse over an existing mask, it will allow you to move the mask. But if you don't hover over the mask and click in the viewer with your left mouse button, it will create a new mask. If that happens to you, and it will many times in your deepfake journey, just undo or delete the new mask. Then just make sure to select the position section again so it is highlighted in blue and then move the mask. It's not about the highlighting of the position section in blue, it's just so your mind knows you selected the mask. The position section is tied to the mask tool and the path section is tied to the freehand mask tool. If you have the radio button checked for any section to capture data, then it will capture the data depending on which tool you have selected. Okay, so we are done with this mask. Go ahead and duplicate this mask and make sure you are on the first frame. Now clear out the position data by clicking on the position radio button, then click it again to capture the position onto the first frame. Now here I'm going to switch to the freehand mask tool and select all the points, then rotate all the points again by holding down the Alt key on my keyboard and clicking on the corner point of the bounding box. Next, I'm going to switch back to the ellipse mask tool and move the mask in place and start going through all the frames using the less, then, and greater keys on my keyboard. So in this case, I'm letting the mask hang out until it gets the opportunity to do its job. In the meantime, again, I'm just going to move it in a little close to clear out the blurry hair strands from the deepfake. Okay, now I can move the mask to the area above the ear. Now here you can say, why don't you just change the shape of the mask path to also take care of the ear area? Like I said, don't do that. It's more trouble than it's worth. One mask should have one job. Now here I'm making sure I don't remove part of her eyebrow. I'm making the mask come pretty close, but it's far enough to blend this area in correctly. And here I'm just going to scrub through the timeline to make sure it looks good. Okay, so we are done with this mask. Make sure you are on the first frame, then make a duplicate copy of this mask. Now this mask will be for the ear area. You should know what to do now. Click on the position radio button to clear out the data, then click it again to capture the data onto the first frame. Then move through the timeline using the less, then, and greater than keys on your keyboard. Let the mouse hang out until it gets its chance. Okay, now I can move the mask to blend the ear area. Again, look for an extra earlobe and fix it with a different mask if you need to. One mask can't do everything. Now you might be wondering how much less work would we have to do if Roop created a soft mask around the face? Well, having come from using Deepface labs for years, I can tell you we would need to use less cleanup masks, but you still do need to use them to clean up problem areas and blend hairlines. This Deepface tech is not perfect, and it won't be able to do the cleanup work for you. You still need to use masks to blend hairlines and long hair and mouth interactions. Done with this mask, again, make sure you are on the first frame, then make a duplicate copy of this mask. Now this mask will be for the jaw area. Click on the position radio button to clear out the data, then click it again to capture the data onto the first frame. Then move through the timeline using the less, then, and greater than keys on your keyboard. Now here I'm going to show you something. Notice I did not rotate the mask by selecting all the points, then rotate them using the bounding box. I just started to move the mask using the ellipse mask tool and started capturing the position data. Now here I will stop and switch to the freehand mask tool and then select all the points, then rotate the mask. So as you can see that you can change the shape of the mask at any time. Since I am only working with the position data, I can change the shape of the mask using the freehand mask tool. When I rotate the mask using the points, it will stay in this position throughout. But if I also want to capture the changing of the shape of the mask with keyframes for the path section, then I would also need to make sure the path radio button is turned on to capture that data, meaning that to capture the points moving, so they can take on different shapes using keyframes. So like I said, the ellipse mask tool is tied to the position data, and the freehand mask tool is tied to the path data. Depending on which tool you are working with, it will capture that data, and only if the radio button is set to on for position and the path section. Okay, so now we are done with cleanup masks for now. I want you to select all the masks like this here, so they will show up on the Viewer tab. Now we can scrub through the timeline to see if any mask is misbehaving. If you find an issue, then just go and fix it. Again, I'm using the less than and greater than keys to scrub through the timeline here. Okay, it all looks good to me. As you can see, the deepfake is starting to look really good here. So now go ahead and save your project. Next, we will tackle the banana issue. Okay, so now to fix the banana interacting with the mouth, we will need to create a new mask. Move the scrubber in the timeline to the first frame. Then open up the mask section for the output video layer. Then select the first mask layer. We need to see where this mask is. Now switch to the ellipse mask tool, and just like before, create a mask on the side like this. Remember, you cannot create a new mask on top of another mask. We will change the shape of this mask later. Now make sure this mask layer is the last in the list. Move it if it is not for you. Next, open up the shape section and change the feather to out. Then change the strength to 45-ish. Next, move the mask onto the mouth area. Also, make sure the layer is set to subtract. When you do that, it will show you the original mouth. Now here I want you to move the mask where it is just blurring under the nose. You don't have to be perfect with this. We will create another mask to bring back the deepfake nose. Now switch to the freehand mask tool and select all the points for this mask. We will change the shape of the mask to be around the same length as the lips. Then switch back to the ellipse mask tool. Make sure you are on the first frame. Now click on the position radio button to capture the position of this mask. Now you want to use the less than and greater than keys on your keyboard and go through the timeline changing the position of the mask. Take your time with this process. So what you are wanting to do is when the mouth is interacting with the object, you want to make sure the original mouth and lips are showing, interacting with the object, meaning you want to see them clearly. You will see me keep adjusting it to bring back the original mouth back. Remember the rule. One mask, one job. You can always add another mask to fix artifacts, which we will do a little later to fix an issue on the chin. Now you just saw me change the shape feather strength. You can do that if you feel the value could be different. Here I found 45-ish was good. Now notice I'm moving the mask in such a way so it shows the mouth eating the banana clearly. Notice the mask is not in the center of the mouth, it is off to the left side. This is because the head is turned, so we see more of the left side of the mouth. We do see the right side a bit. So here I am also making sure the right side of the edge of the lips come through. This is why I was changing the feather strength to see if I needed just a little more. You can also just make the mask longer, so this part of masking is an organic concept. Use your artist license. Okay, so now the head has turned, and I will keep moving the mask to make sure we see the interaction with the object at all times. At no time did I let the mask hang out somewhere else. It's always on the mouth through the whole video. You will see in just a moment that we will turn off the mask when it is not interacting with the object and turn it back on when it is. Okay, so we are done with this mask. So now what I'm going to do is change the shape of the mask so we can also get more of the bottom of the chin area. Now we need to do this is because of how Roop works, and in general how other deepfake tech works. When the mouth opens beyond a certain point, the deepfake cannot keep up with how far a mouth can open in real life. So you will see two mouths fighting each other for attention. By making the mask bigger, we are removing the deepfake mouth so we can see the original mouth when it opens wide for the banana. That's what she said. Okay, so now switch back to the ellipse mask tool and create a new mask on the tip of the nose. This mask will bring back the deepfake nose. Open up the shape section and set the feather to out and set the feather strength to 30-ish. Now I want you to take a look at how the mask layer order works. because we set the mouth mask to subtract it is showing the original mouth by poking a hole through the output video or the deepfake. So this layer is the last layer, and it will need to be set to add so we can get the deepfake back for the nose. Because this mask is on the output layer, when we pick add, it is adding the deepfake back. Subtracting means delete the deepfake and show me what is behind the deepfake layer, or in our case, what is behind the output layer video. Okay, so here you will see me change the position of the mask on the tip of the nose and scrub through the timeline. I am checking to see if I will need to capture the position of this mask to make fine-tune adjustments. Sometimes you don't have to do a thing, just create the nose mask and be done with it. It really depends on what type of mouth interaction is being done and how the nose is getting affected. So we can see that we will need to make small adjustments to the nose mask position as the mouth mask is interacting with the nose in some places. So make sure to go back to the first frame and open up the transform section and click on the radio button to capture the position of the mask. Now you can scrub through the timeline using the less, then, and greater than keys on your keyboard and keep adjusting the mask. Anytime you see the mouth mask is showing too much of the original nose, you want to move this nose mask to stop it from doing that. Okay, so I'm almost done with adjusting the nose mask here. Okay, so here you will see me move the mouth mask to the bottom. You want to ignore this part here. I'm trying to rename the mouth mask and it wouldn't let me. So by changing the mouth mask layer order, it let me. Right-click on the mouth mask and you can rename it to mouth. I will later move the mouth mask above the nose mask later. You shouldn't have to do this. You should be able to rename it. It's not important. Okay, make sure you are on the first frame and then go ahead and open up the transform for the mouth mask and change the opacity to 0. This will turn off the mouth mask and you will see the original deepfake mouth. Now click on the radio button for the opacity so we can capture the 0 value. Then save your project. Okay, so now what you want to do is using your less, then, and greater, then keys move through the timeline until you come to where she is eating the banana. You want to come to where roughly her mouth is open, where the banana is almost inside. Then you want to change the opacity to 100. This will capture the data for the change in opacity. Now using the less than key, move backwards to where she is about to eat the banana. Then start to bring the opacity value down slowly. Okay, so each time you bring the value down, it will get captured in the timeline, as you can see. Using the less than key, move backwards another frame or two, and bring the value down even more. You are creating an animation or a morph to where the opacity is going to go from 0 to 100, causing her to eat the banana. You have to use your judgment here to what is the best transition from the deepfake to the real mouth. We are doing this backwards, right? Going from 100 to 0. You can do it whichever way you see fit. Now you can see I'm going from 100 to 0 where the banana has left her mouth. Same idea here. Now I'm using the greater than key to move forward. Take your time with this like I'm showing you. Remember, you can even click on the keyframe diamond thingy captured in the timeline and move them around with the left mouse button, or you can delete them. Also look at the values for the opacity you are changing through the keyframes. Don't try to come up with a formula with numbers, like 10, 20, 30. That's not the way to do this. You have to look at what is happening on screen to create the best morph between the deepfake and the original mouth. As you can see, it really does not take that long to create good mouth interactions with deepfakes. You just have to get used to the idea of how these tools work and how the use of masks allow you to create deepfakes, where the person is interacting with an object with the face. So as I'm going through this process, I just want to say you should follow me on YouTube. Just search for iVideoGameBoss. I'll be making more deepfake videos where I will show you more ways to tackle deepfakes. Also, you can buy me a coffee at buymecoffee.com/iVideoGameBoss. These videos take a ton of time to put together. Okay, so I'm almost done with this. We just have one more item to do, and then we will be done with this deepfake. Okay, so now what you want to do is scrub through the timeline and check to see if all looks good. You can make any adjustments if you need to. Okay, so what you want to do is select the mouth mask and scrub through the timeline. This is going to be your second pass. You want to adjust the mouth mask ever so slightly and keep making adjustment to get it just right. You want to take your time with the second pass. So far, it's all looking good to me. We're almost there, just doing some final checks. Okay, so now I want you to switch to the Editor tab, then zoom in on the Viewer tab and play the video. You can see the deep fake looks amazing. Now here you are checking to see if all looks good and catch anything you might have missed. You might have to take a coffee break and come back and play the video again. Okay, so I saw something odd on the chin. I'm going to play the video again to see what it could be. Okay, I see it. So this is something I see a lot on deepfakes. When the mouth opens and chews on food or moves in dramatic ways like this, you will see these indents caused by the lighting in the scene. So the deepfake will not be able to handle this, and the indent will seep through. So we can address issues like this with a mask to blend both the original and the deepfake together, where the original video shows through more. So go ahead and double-click the video in the timeline in the Editor tab. It will open up in the Shot tab where the scrubber was in the Editor window. So here I'm going to find the jaw mask for the right side and duplicate it. Then move it down like this so it is the last item in the mask list. Now open up its transform section. First I'm going to just move it to see if I can use this mask setting. Just bring it close to the problem area to see how it will look. You can see that it will do the job for us. So you want to make sure you are on the first frame and then click on the position radio button to clear out all data. Then just click it again to capture the new position data. Now you can scrub through the timeline using the less than and greater than keys on your keyboard and move the mask so it just hangs outside the face. I will adjust the position so it is near the chin area. You are waiting for the opportunity to use the mask when the side of the chin shows. So here you can see that when the problem area shows up, I am moving the mask to show more of the original chin, rather than the deep fake one. Just keep adjusting the mask to blend correctly like I am showing you here. Okay, so here I'm going to switch to the freehand mask tool and select all the points and then rotate the mask by holding down the Alt key and clicking and dragging the corner point of the bounding box. I think this mask will work a lot better if it was rotated a bit more. Make sure to switch back to the ellipse mask tool. Okay, so here I'm doing a last check to make sure it all looks good. I'm scrubbing backwards on the timeline with the less than key. We are almost at the finish line. Okay, it all looks great to me. So now we are done making this high-quality deepfake. You can close the Shot tab now. Now go to the first frame and save your project. Now from the Editor tab, click on Export and pick Export Now and choose All Contents. Your deepfake is now done, so let's just wait for the final result. Now click on the link once it's done processing your deepfake video. Then play the video full screen and drool over your accomplishment. Wow, this looks really good. And we used an AI-generated face for this. If you used a real person's face, then you should be blown away by how good the deepfake looks. Okay, so now that you have seen your results, we are going to run Roop again, but this time use the face enhancer. So switch back to Hitfilm Express and save your project, and then close Hitfilm Express. Now here I'm going to run Roop with the face enhancer. Okay, so here we will do the same thing. Pick the same files like before. Make sure Many Faces option is turned on. For the face, I will select again the AI-generated face. For the target, you want to select the shot video. And then when you click on Start, you want to select the output MP4 video. Now this will take some time as it needs to process the video, then run Face Enhancer. So while this is working in the background, I do want to mention that you can also use Stable Diffusion to enhance the face. You don't have to use Face Enhancer. You can look up on YouTube on how to do this. Just make sure you use the output MP4 video file to extract all the frames to process the deepfake video in Stable Diffusion. Then put the frames back and call the video output MP4. Then place it in the same location so when you open your project in Hitfilm Express, it will use all the masking work we did. Then just export the final video out. Okay, so the face enhancer is finished. Now you can open the project up again in Hitfilm Express. Go ahead and switch to the Viewer tab. As you can see, the face enhancer version looks freaking awesome. The face is much more detailed. Okay, so from the Editor tab, go ahead and export out this video also, so we can see both versions. Then just close out Hitfilm Express once the video has exported. Now I'm going to play both videos side by side. As you can see, both versions of the deepfake look just amazing. But if you notice, it's hard to tell which one is the face enhancer. Imagine if this was running on a mobile device, you wouldn't be able to see the difference at all. So this is why when we create deepfakes for fun, you don't have to always run face enhancer. But if you want or need a higher quality version, then you can. Okay, so now you know how to create a high quality deepfake. So now I'm going to show you how to make a deepfake when the head is doing much more complicated movements. This is where you will learn how to align the face. Okay, so go back to pexels.com, make sure video is selected, and then type "a woman eating donuts" on the floor. Go ahead and select this video here. Now I'm choosing this video because it shows a complex head movement. Now I don't know why she wants to be a human vacuum cleaner, but more power to her. Wink wink. Okay, so here I'm going to choose the 720 version of the video. Then go ahead and download the video. Now bring up Hitfilm Express. Now I'm going to move through this a bit more faster because I already explained to you the rinse and repeat steps. Now drag the video into the Media tab, then drag the video from the Media tab into the timeline. Choose Yes to change the video settings. Now zoom in on the timeline, then right-click to make a composite shot. Call it shot or whatever you want. Now right-click on the video in the Shot tab and make a duplicate. Then right-click on the top video layer and rename it. Call it Dupe for duplicate, then right-click on the bottom video layer and call it Org for original. Then click on the eye icon to shut off the original video layer. Now open the dupe layer and add a tracker and make sure to open the tracker section so you can see the data that will be captured. Remember, if you don't see the tracker, just click on the ellipse tool in the Viewer tab, then switch back to the arrow tool. Now zoom in on the video in the Viewer tab, right-click inside the red box, and place the tracker on the tip of the nose. In this case, I'm almost going to place it on the tip of the nose. It's not about perfection, it's about approximation. Whatever will allow us to make the tracker do its job. Now turn off the motion path because that's just a visual thing, we don't care to see it. Then select Single Point and Optical Flow. Now click on Track Forward. Now you will see me keep pausing the tracker, then track forward again because this is a complex head movement. I want to keep an eye on the tracker. Adjust it if you see it getting off track. Now here you will see I'm going to use the less than and greater than keys on the keyboard to move through the frames. When you use the keys to move forward and backwards on the timeline, you have to right-click inside the red box of the tracker and move it a bit to capture its position. This is how you do it manually when the tracker is getting confused. The red box must move in some way for the data to get captured. Here you can see I'm doing the tracking by hand because the donut is getting in the way. Move a frame, move the tracker roughly to where it should be, then move to next frame. Here's where you want to use the circle inside the red box as a guide to see which pixels you were on last frame. Okay, so the tracking is done. Now just scrub through the timeline to make sure the nose was tracked correctly. Okay, looks good to me. Now go ahead and choose Stabilize and Apply. Now switch to the Viewer tab to see the results of the Stabilize. Play the video and hover your mouse on the tip of the nose. Okay, it looks good to me. Now close up the dupe layer and create a new plane layer. Just click on OK to add it. Make sure the dupe layer is highlighted in blue or it is selected. Now click on the Ellipse Mask tool in the Viewer tab and create a mask on the dupe layer. Size does not matter. We will adjust it later. Make sure to invert the mask. Then move the mask so its center is on the tip of the nose. Then switch to the Freehand Mask tool. Select all the points and scale down the mask and make sure its center is on the tip of the nose. Then scale the mask back up. It should be big enough to fit two heads. Remember, we have to blur the mask so it needs enough room. Just scrub through the timeline to make sure all looks good. Okay, so now here I will show you how to align the head so Roop can handle complex head movements. Go ahead and close up the plane layer and open up the dupe layer. Go to the transform section. This is where you will be blown away by your newfound power. Remember the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, my friend, today is the day. Now what you want to do is make sure you are on the first frame. Then you want to click on the rotation radio button to capture the first rotation data. Now here you will rotate the head so it is aligned vertically. Now scrub through the timeline and keep adjusting the rotation whenever you see the head is not staying vertically aligned. Now don't put too many keyframes to keep the head aligned. You are just trying to keep it within a 30-degree range. Keep it roughly aligned through the lifetime of the video clip. Once you reach the end of the timeline, you will need to go backwards to check the rotation again to see if you need to add more keyframes or adjust the rotation on the existing ones. Okay, so here you can see I didn't use too many keyframes. I kept the head roughly aligned to a vertical axis. Okay, so now you want to export the video. Click on Export, Export All, and choose Contents. Now make a copy of the exported video and call it output.mp4. Now drag the output video into the Media tab. Now remember, this is a very important step. Close up all the layers and make sure to shut them all off by clicking on the eye icon, or you will get confused very fast. Now switch to the Viewer tab and drag the output video above the original video layer. Next, open up the dupe layer and go to its transform section. Copy the anchor point data and paste it into the position data for the output. Transform. Make sure you are on the first frame before you do this. Now go back to the dupe layer and copy the rotation data. Then paste this rotation data into the rotation data of the output transform. Now go to the plane layer and copy the mask, then paste the mask into the output mask section. Super duper important step. Make sure you invert the mask back to what it was by clicking on this icon. Okay, now turn on the original layer, now scrub through the timeline. Notice the output layer has snapped back, but the rotation just needs to be fixed. Open up the output layer and go to the transform section. Make sure to select the rotation section so it is highlighted in blue. Okay, so when you have the rotation section highlighted, you can jump to each keyframe you created by clicking on this icon. Notice it has its buddy to the left of it, so you can move forward and backwards between keyframes. These keyframe icons show for any section that have keyframes on the timeline. So I want you to start on the first frame and click this icon to go to each keyframe and change the rotation value from negative to positive and vice versa. So if the value is positive, you will put a negative sign in front of the rotation number. And when the rotation is negative, you will remove the negative sign. As I'm doing this, you can see the output video is now getting aligned correctly. Now obviously what I'm showing you here is a very powerful secret to making all types of deepfakes work with Roop. So I wasn't kidding when I said with great power comes great responsibility. Okay, so I'm almost done with fixing the rotation values. Okay, so go back to the first frame, then open up the mask and go to the shape section. Here again you want to change the feather to in and pick a good value to blur the mask. I'm going to keep it around 40-ish. Now play the video to make sure it all looks good. Then save your project and close Hitfilm Express. Okay, so now in Roop you want to make sure Many Faces option is turned on and then select the shot MP4 video for the target. Then when you click on Start you want to pick the output MP4 file. Same thing we did before. Okay, so once Roop is done creating the deepfake, go ahead and launch Hitfilm Express and open up your project. Once the project loads, switch to the Editor tab. Zoom in on the video in the Viewer tab and play it. Okay, so as you can see, Roop was able to create the deepfake because we had aligned the head. If you don't align the head like I showed you, then Roop will fail because the head was moving beyond the 30-degree rotation threshold rule on all axes. Okay, so now switch to the Shot tab and zoom in on the video in the Viewer tab. Now open up the mask section for the output video layer. Now it's just rinse and repeat. Here I'm going to fix all the issues using the manual method. I'm going to fix the hairline going all the way around to the jaw. Now I'm going to move fast through this because I already showed you how to do all this. Plus, I want you to see that with the masking techniques I have shown you, you can create hundreds of deepfakes within days. So here I've created my first mask. Make sure it is set to subtract and make sure the shape is set to out and choose a good value for the feather strength. I'll keep it around 50-ish. Then move the mask into position on the top of the forehead. Now here I'm going to change the size of the mask using the freehand mask tool. I'm going to test out the mask by moving it around to see its effects. Then I'm going to change the feather strength to around 60-ish. I needed more blur to blend the forehead. Okay, now go to the transform section of the mask. Make sure you're on the first frame, then click on the radio button for the position to capture the data. Now using your less than and greater than keys, start scrubbing through the timeline. Make sure to keep adjusting the mask to where it is blending the forehead nicely. It shouldn't take you long to do this one, cause it's such a short clip. Okay, that was easy, right? Now go ahead and duplicate the mask and make sure to clear out the position data. Then do the same thing. Scrub through the timeline and blend the area right above the ear. Okay, we are done with this mask. Now let's duplicate this mask and clear out the position data. This mask will be to fix the area around the ear. Now here I'm going to rotate the mask by selecting all the points using the freehand mask tool. Then switch to the ellipse tool to start moving the mask. Okay, now we want to work on the jaw area. Go ahead and duplicate the mask and clear out the position data. I'm going to rotate the mask again using the freehand mask tool. Switch back to the ellipse mask tool, then scrub through the timeline and keep adjusting the mask position. Make sure to look out for an extra earlobe. We can use this mask in this case to remove it since we are at the edge of the jawline. Okay, now we're going to fix the other side of her face. I'm going to duplicate the first cleanup mask. You can move this new mask to the bottom of the mask layer stack if you want. I do this because it's just a reminder which mask I was working on last. Then clear out the position data and scrub through the timeline and keep adjusting the mask. Now, obviously, you can rename all the masks to keep track of them. I just don't find the need for it since this is a rinse and repeat concept for making deepfakes. You know which mask does what when you select it. It's up to you if you want to rename them. For me, let's just say, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, so here you can see, because the head has turned beyond what Roop can handle, meaning the head has turned beyond the 30-degree rule. Because the eye has collapsed on the deep fake. Here you have to take your time and blend more of the original video into the deep fake. Basically, you are reconstructing the collapsed deep fake with the original face. Okay, so we are done with this mask. Let's duplicate the mask and clear out the position data. Now I'm going to use this mask to reconstruct the collapsed eye. You want to bring back the original eye more? It's a Jedi mind trick blending technique is the best way to describe it. Okay, so you see how I use this mask. It only had one job and it did it well. Here, I'm letting it hang out once it's done its job. One mask, one job. Okay, now it's time to fix the mouth. Here I'm going to use the first cleanup mask and duplicate it. Move the mask down to be the last mask in the list. Clean out the position data and click it again to capture it. Move the mask down to where the mouth is. Make any size and feather strength adjustments. Here you want to do everything I showed you how to do when it comes to mouth interactions. You want to blend to the edge of the bottom of the nose. Okay, so here I can already tell we are going to need another mask later to show more of the original donut. This one mask can't do everything. Looks like we are going to need two more masks. When she eats the donut on the floor, the bottom of the chin was vibrating. So a mask will be needed to remove that issue too. Here I'm going to create the nose mask to bring the deep fake nose back. Since this is a new mask, you want to set it up. Change the shape to out and choose a good feather strength number like 30-ish. Notice just like before the mask is set to add, and it is at the bottom of the list. It needs to be under the mouth mask in the list order. Then go to the Transform section and click the Position Radio button to capture the data. Now scrub through the timeline and adjust the mask. She's so silly. Why does she want to eat a donut off the floor? I mean, who does that? That's like throwing a shoe at someone. Who throws a shoe? Okay, so we are done with this mask for now. You can adjust all these masks on a second pass if you want to clean up more issues. Now let's duplicate the mouth mask, then use the freehand mask tool and make the mask much smaller. The one job this mask has is to show the donut when it is near the tip of the nose. Okay, so here I'm just going to do a quick test with the mask. It looks like it will do the job. Now go ahead and clear out the position data and then click the radio button again to capture it. Now here I'm letting the mask hang out near the top of the donut. It's waiting to do its job. We want to use it to show the donut when it overlaps the nose. Remember, the nose mask is also going to overpower this mask, so you have to play around with these masks' positions on multiple passes to fix complex mouth interactions. You can't do it in one sitting. Take a break and come back to it. Now here you can see no matter how close we bring the mask to the top of the donut, the nose mask is overpowering it, and that's okay. You can fix that later on your second pass. Don't try to fix all issues at once. It simply means that when this mask comes to this point in time to show the donut, the nose mask needs to back away. Like I said, it's a Jedi mind trick masking technique. Okay, so we are done with this mask. Let's go ahead and duplicate it. Clear out the position data and click the radio button again to capture it. We are going to use this mask to fix the chin area. Okay, boys, keep your eyes on the masking job. What you all be looking at. Okay, so here I'm just keeping the two masks we created for the mouth area together. I just like to keep the masks in some order, so I know where they are for the next step. Okay, now we are going to morph the mouth just like we did with the banana women. But here you can see that we only want to change the opacity after the donut has left the mouth. So right now it needs to stay at 100 opacity. So I'm going to scrub through the timeline to see when this happens, then click on the radio button for the opacity to capture the data. So here I just did that. Now I'm going to move forward each frame using the greater than key on my keyboard and change the opacity slowly to bring it down to 0. It's not a numbers game, it's a visual game. Look at what is the best opacity to use to morph into the deepfake mouth. Okay, so here I'm doing some checks. I want to see for this first pass of masking if all looks good, and it does to me. So now just select all the mask layers by holding down the Shift key and pick the top mask, then choose the last mask. Now scrub through the timeline to see if any mask is misbehaving. Okay, so it all looks good to me. Now don't forget to copy the opacity keyframes to the second mouth mask we added to handle the top of the donut. Let's go ahead and do that here. Make sure you're on the first frame before you paste. Okay, so now let's switch to the editor tab and play the video. You can see the deepfake looks really good. Okay, so as you can see in the first pass, we got a good-looking deepfake. Now you can go back and do another pass. And don't forget to move the nose mask away from the donut mask to show clearly. I will leave that for you to do. Now we can export out this bad boy. Okay, so here's the final output. Now you can keep working on this and do more cleanup work if you want. It depends on what you are looking for. So in conclusion, I have shown you a ton of info on how to make high-quality deepfakes with Roop. Don't forget to follow me on YouTube. Just type in iVideoGameBoss. Thank you so much for your support.